Hello, welcome back to the Art Channel. This week myself and Joshua will be reviewing an exhibition at Tate Gallery in London by teamLab, a Japanese collective formed in 2001, consisting of 400 people who work together to make interactive environments: engineers, architects, designers, programmers.
So the first room in the exhibition comprises several works, but as you turn into the room, against the tall vertical space from ceiling to floor is a work called Universe of Water Particles, Transcending Boundaries, which is made using tiny droplets of water which then flow together digitally. And they run, which is really interesting, from a sort of vertical expression to horizontal format on the floor, filling the space as a natural flow of water in the real world.
It's really engaging, it's immersive. When you walk into the space, you are right in the middle of a digital painting in a way. And the water, the lines, as you said, kind of come together, and as you stand there, they come around you. So you end up standing in a black space, void of the water, which is wonderful because it means you are completely immersed and engaged in the piece of work. And it's very much, I guess, a Japanese way of looking at making a piece of work. It's a non-hierarchical space, and you are utterly in the space, in the work.
teamLab are fascinated by Japanese pre-modern modes of making art, of a, as you say, non-hierarchical space, what they call ultra-subjective space. So there's no distinct perspectival point of view of entry into the subject, but rather you are washed with the subject. You enter from different points. There is no one, as it were, singular narrative. Opposite the waterfall is another piece called Flutter of Butterflies, Beyond Borders, Ephemeral Life. And these butterflies respond to you. So they're never consistently the same. And that's really important about teamLab's programming, that all of the time the work is evolving and never repetitive.
I think that's really exciting. We're so used to seeing static works. We're very used to seeing video pieces that are on a loop of 5 minutes or 5 hours or whatever. But this is never going to be the same at any given moment through the whole exhibition. And I think that's a very exciting way to experience work. It's very lyrical, it's very beautiful, it's very pretty, and I think we're slightly frightened of things that are quite beautiful in contemporary art. But I think you can put your cynicism aside when you come in, because you get just utterly into the work. It makes you smile.
I agree with you about postmodern art. Postmodern culture is very suspicious of aesthetics and beauty. But of course it's fundamental to Japanese traditions: ikebana, flower arranging, the tea ceremony, scroll painting or calligraphy. And these artists have a way, teamLab have a way of being able to sort of merge history with contemporary technology, and they really bring it to life in a new kind of spatial sense.
And also, as you say, they're crossing boundaries, as the exhibition suggests, and they're merging technology with nature. They are, when you read about what they're talking about, the exhibition, what they say about their work, they want us to reconnect to nature. They're interested in the cycle, and several of these pieces of work have a cycle, perhaps over an hour. The flowers grow and they die over the 4 seasons. So they do want us to engage with nature through technology, which is very postmodern.
And lastly, about that room, I mean, it's touching on both Shinto and Zen Buddhism, with this notion of a kind of sacred energy that runs through the natural world. There is an environmental issue too, whereby when you touch the walls, the butterflies, they wither and drop and die. You know, there is this underlying mortality and sense of the cyclical quality of nature.
On the wall, amongst all these butterflies and flowers, we have a piece of work called Enzo, which is tapping into the idea of Japanese Zen calligraphy and the idea of the perfect circle, supposedly formed with one sweep of the arm, this idea of elegance and strength and perfection. and the makers talk about spatial calligraphy. So this is an entirely digital work, but it looks beautiful. You can see the ink dissolving or running through water. The circle remains and it's sort of viewed from all sorts of different angles. So again, tradition and modernity come together quite beautifully. And as you stand in front of the piece, butterflies from the other piece of work come across the screen. So the works blur, they merge.
What I love about that piece is a spray of inkiness in the air around the circle. You know, they really bring that flat object to life in 3 dimensions. And to some extent it expresses the process by which they make the film works. Namely, they model in 3D and then simulate or produce the flatness of traditional Japanese screen and scroll painting. So they're really playing with these dimensions, animating something that's ostensibly still, and evoking again both history and a kind of futuristic technological sort of promise. And then in the last room we have a work called Flowers Bloom on People, and again it's very responsive. It's programmed so that your movement in the space activates the growth of flowers on the floor and on the body, and you're encouraged to wear white so that the flowers can be visible as they sort of bloom across you, like a proper cycle of life. And it is an extraordinary spectacle. It's a beautiful display of technological prowess that returns us to that lyricism of the natural world.
And we're looking at a year in an hour, which is quite wonderful, and also very suitable for postmodern humans who have short concentration spans. So you get this kind of, it's a glut, it's an amazing kind of immersion into this process. And it's rather beautiful because, of course, you stay, you know, you want to see what happens, you're definitely part of the artwork, and that keeps you there, it slows you down, you listen, you react, you respond. So I think I have to say I came with a little bit of cynicism, thinking I would be stepping into a video game, and it's really much more than that actually. It's very joyful. It's quite thought-provoking. You're thinking about the history of Japanese art, you're thinking about technology, and you're thinking about, quite excitingly, collaborations between engineers, programmers and artists, and that's definitely part of the future for contemporary shows.
You can definitely see the strong influence of Japanese culture in anime, in video games like Super Mario Brothers. These Japanese traditions come to the fore, but it sort of becomes universal in this sense of spectacle and wonder, the immersion you have in this extraordinary sort of digital alternative reality. It is virtual reality, and the flowers, you want to reach out and touch them, the butterflies, it returns us to childhood. It's almost like a sort of fictional narrative that's established through the ability of this programming. Thank you for watching the Art Channel. Please give us a thumbs up. You can also share and distribute the film. You can also follow us on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram and on Facebook.